Hello. Yes, Shweta Verma, do you have any query? I can hear you raising your hand. Dr. Shweta Verma.
Hello.
Yes, who's this? Dr. Shweta, Dr. Deepak, I can see you people raising your hand. Any query?
Hello, Mansi ma'am.
Yes, yes, Apeksha
Mansi
ma'am.
ma'am, my voice is audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, fine, fine. Thank you,
Hmm.
ma'am.
Ma'am, please settle down. Hmm.
Mansi and technical team at Galgotia, I welcome all of you back. The resource person for the center is here, for this session is here. Can we begin? Sabia ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Yes, Sabia ma'am. Mansi, please take over and begin the session.
Hello? Hello, Mansi, ma'am, should we begin?
Yes, please. Apeksha, please.
Okay, ma'am. So good morning, dear faculty members, distinguished personalities and research scholars. This is the third session of day 1. So here I am Dr. Apeksha, Assistant Professor in the Department of English, Galgotias University, and I'm joining today as the moderator of this session. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, who is going to talk to us about crafting a research proposal. This is the subject in which we should all be deeply interested in, because the quest for knowledge is the basic principle behind research. The quality of research work directly translates to the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom, thereby benefiting the students, the society, and the country. The promotion of research in a huge and diverse country like India will help the nation evolve as a knowledge reservoir in the international arena. Our education system faces a number of constraints and challenges, and quality research is one among them. So now let us find answers to all those unreciprocated questions. So it is with special excitement that I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Sabiha Alam. Let me do not miss this opportunity to introduce her. She is Assistant Professor in Jamia Millia Islamia. She is the Doctorate in Environmental Sciences from Baba Sahib Ambedkar Marathawada University, Aurangabad. She has been extensively involved in diverse research and teaching areas, which includes, for instance, environment and sustainable development in South Asia, Central Asia and Africa, international relations and research methodology in social sciences. She has a widespread publication list in national and international journals and books on subjects which cover marine pollution, sustainable development, issues of global environmental governance, gender, and environment. She has participated and presented large number of papers in national and international conferences and workshops, including the Conference of Parties of the Biodiversity Convention. She has also organized seminars on research methodology, national conferences on environment and sustainable development, and panel discussions within the support of the Conference of Parties of the Biodiversity Convention. She has been part of many organizations working in the field of environment and sustainable development, including societies such as the Society of Indian Ocean Studies, Society for Ocean Scientists and Technologists. So I request all of you to please join me in welcoming Dr. Sabiha Alam. We would be grateful if you all fill and submit the feedback form after the session. If you have any queries related to the discussion, kindly leave your question in the chat box. We will come to your queries in the last 5 minutes of the session. Ma'am, now the floor is all yours. Yes.
Apeksha ma'am, please unmute her. Unmute her, and
Yes,
Sabiha ma'am,
ma'am.
please start your video.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. And I think after a long and a very fruitful morning session, which
Ma'am, sorry for interruption. Ma'am, your video is not visible.
I don't know, but it has been stopped at your end.
Fine.
I'm trying since morning to get into it, but the video is not at my end, it is it.
Mansi ma'am, it's done from my side, ma'am.
Now, am I visible?
No, ma'am.
Oh God. Start. All right. I think maybe now I might be visible. It is not a question of my visibility, but the PowerPoint that is there. Am I visible now?
Sabia ma'am, I think you have switched off the camera if the system is such.
No.
There's a small button on the top, left, right.
View. That is the view.
Or else go to your video settings and just uncheck that box. It is by mistake checked.
Wait. This is meet now, join a meeting. Leave, break out.
You are the co-host now, so I don't think there has to be any problem.
Yes.
If the PowerPoint presentation is there, then.
If the PowerPoint, now am I visible?
Ma'am, your name is visible, but.
Ma'am, only your name. Yeah.
Now, you know, everything, the cross box and everything is showing that it is fine at my end.
Ma'am, can I request you to just leave once and then come back so that if there's any technical fault, then.
Maybe.
Rectified, yes. Pratyush, just make sure that ma'am enters as co-host now.
Yes, ma'am, I'll do that.
These are the problems of, online, visible, audible. These are the new normal. We'll get used to this so much that even in the class, you may ask, your students, am I visible now? Admit both of them, yes. Sabia ma'am, you are here, but please experiment with video once again.
Am I visible now? No.
No, ma'am.
What do I do now? Again,
okay, you are presenting through PPT, then you can start, I think.
I think if my PowerPoint is visible, I think it will serve the purpose.
Yes, it will. But please share the screen, ma'am, once first to confirm that.
Yes, here I am.
My own choice.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
is it there?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes, the golden man with the lens is visible. Yes.
The golden man with the lens. Okay, so welcome everyone, and thank you, Dr. Sheetal and Dr. Mansi, for giving me this opportunity. And I'm so looking forward to, just seeing Sheetal in my long term, years. In the field of research methodology. Somebody's mic.
Sandeep ji, कृपया अपने को mute कीजिए.
Okay. In the long years of my teaching and learning process, and in the field of research methodology, Sheetal has been my one person army, one person faculty development program, and she has always been there whenever I have had I have organized these workshops, and I have dealt with research methodology, and I have learned a lot from her. And I thank Sheetal and Mansi and the Galgotia University for giving me this opportunity. Now, having said that, and from the world of the philosophy of sciences, from the larger debates concerning the philosophical debates around the natural and the social sciences, and the bridging of the gaps between what is knowledge and scientific knowledge, as Professor Dhruv Raina so brilliantly put out for us, just dropping to the earth with the minutest nitty gritty of crafting a research proposal, forgetting all that you have heard, and finally, when you are at the end of your tether, when you have acquired all the knowledge, all the required literature in your field, and you sit down to write. So what happens? That is a very, very frustrating exercise, and something that a researcher, many of I see that there are a lot of research scholars also in the audience. So I hope what I have to say or what I have to show will come in handy for all of you. So beginning with writing a research proposal. Okay, this is the first slide. Uh, it is a systematic, what do you say, continuation of some 8 to 9 steps, which form the elements of a research proposal. An introduction, a review, a statement of the problem, then you come to the objectives of your studies, research questions, hypothesis, the research design, the methodology, the tentative chapters that you intend to include, and the references and bibliography. So, within these, where is all this located? It is located in the entire practical aspects of the research process. Okay, this is a very fine and a very simple and a very illustrative flow chart of the entire research process from Professor Ranjit Kumar's book, which is one of the most, simple and a very practical guide to the operational part of the research process. Okay, so now with all those arrows of the research proposal, I will take you back to the entire research process, because that is something that one has to be a little familiar with before coming to what the contents, the elements of, and how to go about writing your research proposal. So within this, again, it is I think some 8 to 9 steps which are there, which form these arrows, sequential arrows, where you have formulating a research problem, or which comes from conceptualizing, which comes from thinking, then conceptualizing a research design, and then constructing instruments of data collection, selecting a sample, and writing a research proposal. And finally, collecting data, processing the data, and writing what, most of the methodology books say are writing reports. But reports in our cases are either PhD thesis, or we come up with research papers of the highest quality. Now, within these steps, if you observe this little moon which shines all over these processes, the literature review, it is something which has an overarching, this aspect of your writing has an overarching presence in all the steps that go into formulating, into the writing of your thesis or any research. Okay, so, having said that, first you have a problem in mind. Somewhere you conceptualize a research problem, which again comes from the literature available in the field of study. Then you have to think a conceptual, a research design. Now here, this conceptualizing a research design very early in the stage of forming a research proposal is something that varies from discipline to discipline, from requirement to requirement, and then and from the demand of a subject to the other subject. And especially, as Professor Raina was saying early in the day, that the concept of multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity, because the subjects that we deal, you don't have a very linear sort of relationship that your work will be divided into political science or into economics, into sociology. No, that era is gone. It is a very multidisciplinary world where, again, as Professor Rana had said, that you have to be very, very careful where to start and where to stop in your quest for multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity. So, in these initial steps of conceptualizing a research design, this is not achieved, especially, coming from area studies, and I, who have, saddled both worlds, from the natural sciences, from direct field studies and laboratory studies, to the whole big wide world of environmental governance and studying environmental relations, international relations, and the role that environmental problems play in it. In this long journey, conceptualizing a research design comes later in the stage. Okay, but this the entire research process I had just mentioned, so that you have a fair idea of where and how to write. You cannot just begin, take a pen and start writing a research proposal. No, a lot goes into it, and drafting a research proposal, and especially, is a very mathematical and a very calculated job. If you do it properly, if you do it sequentially, if you engage with it in a very systematic manner, there is nothing that can go wrong, and nothing can stop you from coming to a very good research design. And a good research design definitely leads to very good work. So, having said this, let us go to the part of one by one, the parts, the components of drafting a research proposal. Now, as a part of it, the first part naturally is an introduction. Now, introduction should provide the background information for the proposed research topic. Everybody knows that. It should provide a conceptual frame. That is also not something rocket science, and work which is the basis of the proposed research. Now, in all these 3 points that I have mentioned, the problem comes is, what sort of background information, where should you stop, where should you be the limitation, where should you delimit your constituency, the boundary, that what sort of information is required. Suppose I am doing the research on some historical aspect of environmental degradation. Where do I begin? Do I begin in the 90s? Do I begin in the 40s? Or do I go back to the Industrial Revolution, which has been the cause of all ills, where we trace the roots of our exploitation, of our environmental degradation? So, here you have to have a little clarity on where to start and where to delimit your research boundary. So, the background information should not be too broad, should not be too narrow, but it should be appropriate. The background from which you draw your research, area, and it should be in a conceptual frame. The conceptual frame will differentiate academic writing from journalistic or layperson's perspectives. That is what we are here to do, the academic, to differentiate the academic from the non-academic. So you have to have a conceptual frame, and you should also introduce some idea of work which is the basis of your proposed research. And by the time that you come to an end of those 2 pages of your research proposal, here let me divert a little. In from the number of pages and the write-ups that you need differ from institution to institution, from university to university, and they also depend on the type of audience that you are addressing. So we do it that normally in our Academy of International Studies, the research proposal is some 15 to 17 pages, including all the references and bibliography. So for establishing your introducing the reader, your audience to your topic, you need 2 pages of introduction. It is normally we stick to 2 pages. And here, let me tell you, you must have heard, everybody who has gone through the process of this rigorous process of proposing submitting a research proposal, the word defend is used. You have to defend your research proposal. That means it is an onslaught. You have to defend it from critical comments. You have to defend it from attack. That means it doesn't mean that you hide under the table. No, you have to take it on you. And the best way to defend them is to be very, very clear about the theoretical framework within which your topic is situated. And a theoretical framework should be introduced very early into your introductory part of it. You don't have to go into the detail of your theoretical framework, but it has to be placed because, why, I'll tell you at a later stage. This is the next stage of crafting a research proposal. No research proposal can be, meaningful, can be done without a deep knowledge of the review of literature. And review of literature is not something, that mundane bored task that we all think that, we will have a collection of books on this topic, we will list them, and that is the done part. No, it goes much, much beyond that, because it is from the wide, spool of knowledge that you, derive your research problems. You create a little corner for your research, you create a little niche and occupy that niche. And you cannot do it unless you have a degree of knowledge about the existing literature in your field. So the review of literature provides the background and the context of the research problem that you have in mind. The literature should be structured. The review of literature should be structured in a thematic pattern, and it should be derived from the broader to the narrow context within which the research is placed. Now, this from the broad to the narrow, then to more narrow, and then to an explanation. This is an ideal hourglass model which has stood the test of time for all researchers in every field. That from the broader, you come to the narrow, you come to the most focus point of your research, then discuss it. Then discuss the main points which form the cylindrical part of the vase, the hourglass, and then again expand it and explain and justify what you have done in the earlier 3 parts. Okay, so it should always, from the existing knowledge, the more you go from the broad to the narrow, the more you induct, especially at the time of your research proposal, the better will be the shape of the final proposal. And the literature review also sets the stage for your own argument, for the literature's own argument. Okay, then the next. All right. Again, the qualities of the literature review. A good literature review, it includes all literature that is relevant to justifying the proposed research. 1. Now here, all is a very broad term. It should have a body, it should be very meaningful. You cannot include all, but in that universe, you can at least include that which is into your horizon and which you think is important. Then you should also ensure that It does not include literature that is irrelevant to justifying the proposed research. This is one problem we face always with our students, and this is something that we faced when we were students. At least I was a student, that was more than 35 years ago, that in that enthusiasm to be more read. So I included everything that I had read, because whenever you open something to read, you find that everything is so useful. Everything is not useful. It is a very scientific, scientifically proven library science fact that at a time 4 to 5, individual books or journals can only occupy your span of attention. So the literature should not include irrelevant literature, however important a researcher might think it is. Please just keep it aside for another time, for another place. Then it should also support undertaking the proposed research. It should avoid speculation and, of course, an unsubstantiated statements also. We are also very fond of those flowery language that we use while doing our review of literature. No, it is something, the simpler you are, the better it will be for our own good at this very initial stage of writing your research proposal. So a critical review does not merely accept, herein lies the crux. A critical review does not merely accept previous authors' conclusions, but it weighs them carefully and examining them on 3 points. So by the time you have your literature review is complete, you have built your own argument. It involves a lot of research. And the 3 points that have to be kept in mind are the weaknesses and the arguments of the present literature, the flaws of methodological approaches. Naturally, when you are surveying, when you are reading through the thing, you will definitely find that some aspects of some problem could have been dealt with better with a different methodological approach. And please remember that the literature review is not a listing of important books and journals and sketchy summaries which you have strung together. So then, from the vast knowledge, from the literature that is available in your field, from a critical analysis, from a critical writing of in the existing literature, as you read, as you explore, as you take notes, you will definitely get a clarity of thought. You will be able to situate your research problem in the wider context of the knowledge available in that area. So that becomes the that here you have narrowed down, you have come to the statement of your problem. Somewhere it is called the scope of your study. So it is like a camera, previously. Now you do it with a click of your mobile buttons, but the way you focus a camera, with marking the distance and also and coming to a clear focused view, that is where the literature from the literature you derive the statement of your problem. Now, the statement of the problem, and let me add here also, some in certain institutions, most of the universities, I have seen it in JNU, I have seen it in my university, and there's some, you have a section, special section on the literature review, but most of the time, the literature review is embedded in the introduction and into the statement of your problem and the scope of the study also. So there are 2 ways. It differs from institution to institution and purpose to purpose also. So from as you have narrowed to the scope of your study, you have found a degree of clarity and a degree of focus, you come to the objectives of the study. Now, these are those targets on your hitting, which you have to hit. The objectives of the study, normally in a PhD thesis, we are now, MPhil dissertations are passive, but even if you are writing a good research paper, or you are writing a research proposal for funding, whatever the intended outcome might be, the objectives usually in any research, the not more than 4 sometimes, or 5 you can have. The objectives are well defined, clear, specific, and they should be in single sentences. Then what happens, they determine and they really show how the research is classified, whether the research is descriptive, whether the research is explanatory, whether exploratory, so many other types, or it will also see whether it is a of a multidisciplinary nature. And there is a way the objectives are stated. Again, see the terminology, see the words. The objective of the first objective, you go again from the broad to the narrow. The first objective will be to explore, because you are entering an unsure domain, so there is scope for exploration. Then from the main objective will again flow your sub objectives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Normally in patterns for research, the first chapter is an introduction, and the main thesis or the main research work is divided into 3 chapters or 3 parts. So accordingly, you have to have your objectives. Those are sub objectives, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can have, but there is a limit to it. Don't go overboard. If you set yourself 10 to 12 objectives and 10 to 12 hypotheses, it is inviting big trouble. And then, so this is about the objectives. From the objectives, flow your hypothesis. What are hypotheses? Hypotheses are, broad assumptions. And there is this world of hypothesis. It cannot be, you need at least a day's workshop to, carve out hypothesis. And there is this huge debate whether you require hypothesis in qualitative research, and normally especially the economists are very fond that they have to have hypothesis. And the hypothesis and or the research question debate will go on in academics. There is no finding a solution to that. So with your establishing the causal relationships which you have done in your review of literature, with some clarity that you have in your objectives, it becomes easy for a researcher to establish those. What are hypotheses, especially in studies, in international relations, in area studies that I am talking of, and especially in studies on environmental governance and sustainable developments, we are very fond of establishing causal relationships. So these hypotheses, they establish causal relationships. But this is the theoretical part of the hypothesis, but the nitty-gritty, when you frame those hypotheses, and especially if you have Professor Muni at the where you have to defend them too, then please be careful. So differentiate between the proposition, between a theory, and between a hypothesis, how they differ from and how they are related to each other. So this is some differentiation that a researcher can very easily do if one is clear on the concept of theory, on concepts, on variables, and how they go to form a theoretical framework. And this is something that Professor Rana has discussed in detail, that formation of theory and the theoretical premises and the theoretical frameworks. There is no end to this debate. We have been through it for the last 3,000 years, beginning, the earliest from Socrates' time. So please remember that hypotheses are broad assumptions. The common mistake that we commit is that they are never written in the form of questions, and they are never written in the form of long unstructured sentences where nothing meets the other, and you state the obvious. That is not a hypothesis. Okay, so but before the hypothesis, yes, the research questions. Now, when you are doing your research, survey of literature, or when you have thought of a research problem, you have to problematize it, and a broad research question has to appear on the horizon of the researcher. Your hypothesis will be situated in the broad research question that you seek to answer. And there are again methodologically divided types of questions, and there are no distinct boundaries. Every research can have the descriptive, the explanatory, the prescriptive, the predictive, and the normal questions. It is all about explanation, expansion, and description. That is what we do in social science research and related to data. So framing a broad research question will help frame a good hypothesis also. In some institutions, some universities, and some disciplines, and even some topics, direct research questions are something that researchers prefer because they are in sharp focus. And somewhere, especially in exploratory research, especially there you have to have hypothesis. But this question of hypothesis and versus research question is also an ongoing debate, and I cannot get into it. Now, from the research questions, let us come to the crux, the methodology part of it. It becomes by the time you are through with your literature, by the time you have a sense of the objectives of your study, by the time you have formulated your hypothesis, and you have an idea of what will go into your thesis. This is the time that your research design is being framed. Okay, so the research design should specify the types of techniques of data collection which are appropriate for the objectives that you have stated. And it should justify the logic for the inferences that you have drawn in your hypothesis. And mind you, this is something where you are at the very beginning of the story. As you go and as you research, definitely you will have to have these logics. And if you have a sound research design, it will help you not to stray from the path, because and go in for more extensions and timelines, and extend the timelines. So this is something that a sound research design, which has certain qualities, which meets certain criteria, it does have. So it should justify the logic for the inferences that you have drawn. It should identify the type of evidence, that confirms the hypothesis or hypothesis, and also provide a convincing test of the hypothesis. What is it? It is testing those hypotheses, testing the assumptions that you have made. So a properly designed, a proper research design will help you in that path. And it should decrease threats, the possibilities of challenging the internal and external validity of the findings. If you have gone through your theorizing and the theory of social science research, internal and external validity is something that you must be familiar with. And at this stage, between your hypothesis, between the variables and the intervening variables, and a lot of conceptualizing, a good research design will decrease the possibility of challenging the internal and external validity of your findings. And a good research design also ensures that the findings are reliable. That is also of great concern. So and here in the methodology part that you are outlining, that you are framing, indicate the type of research design that will be adopted, give details of the methodological steps to be taken to answer every question or to test every hypothesis presented in the previous section. Here I won't even venture into the qualitative and the quantitative debate, and this is after you have sorted that tangle, that complexity for yourself, that you come to writing your research proposal. And this is something also very interesting. We see a lot that in a research proposal, methodology writing will be dismissed as the study will be historical or analytical, oblique, or descriptive or analytical. No, please don't do that. It invites trouble. You should be very, very careful about the type of analysis that you are about to embark on. So details of the sources of data which relate to the chosen topic also must be mentioned in detail while writing about methodology. And this will come from the literature review, from a sound literature review, which will help you in detailing the sources of data which relate to the chosen topic. It does not mean that you have to go into those details of writing it all over again. It will come briefly in some sentences to it. And introduce the overall methodological approach for investigating your research problem. And if is your study qualitative or quantitative? Normally, no, it is not a linear qualitative or a very linear quantitative study. It is a mixed method design, because we are living in a world of transdisciplinarity and multidisciplinarity. And the mixed method research design and the mixed method proposal is another avenue which has to be explored while speaking of research methodology, while trying to make sense of the multidisciplinarity. How far in a transdiscipline do you go? How far do you bridge a disciplinary boundary to make an argument for yourself and come back and explain it into your own discipline? That is about stepping those boundaries and stepping in again and explaining what you want to do. And this is something that you do at the you should have in mind, and it should find a mention in your research design. So are you going to take a special approach, especially sometimes in field-based studies like social work, sociology, and even in environmental studies we do when we are in the field, whether it is an action research or something else, indicate how the approach will fit the overall research design. Suppose one of my students was working on the livelihood and its impact on the fisher folk in Kerala because of the multinational corporation which had set up company, and he was doing it in the larger context of the role of multinationals and their activities on livelihood. So this, and he had to do it because he had to conduct a survey, he had to interview people, he had to have a very, very clear clarity of thought on his sample, the universe of his sample. So your method should have a clear connection with your research problem. If he has to go and study the livelihoods of the impact of livelihoods of big trawlers on the small fisher folk and the economy of small fisher folk, the first thing that he goes and does is not interviewing the CEO or the in charge of the multinational corporation whose trawlers are there. No, again, then of course he or she has to address the problems of objectivity and subjectivity in research also. So with everything weighing on a person, this, a vision, a clear vision about the clear connection of your research problem with your method. It is a difficult task, but it has to be done. It has to be delineated at the very beginning when you are conceptualizing your research design. Then make sure that the methods will address the problem. This is also something that if you are studying the impact of women, empowerment, what will the concepts, what will the variables of empowerment be in that study? And that is something where the attributes or the values attributed to empowerment, it is the mortality rate, it is the survival rate, the level of education, the level of economic empowerment, so many other things. So for a particular topic, you have to know that which part, suppose for empowerment, which are the variables that a person has to study. So one of the most common deficiencies in research proposals is that the proposed methodology is not suitable for achieving the stated objectives. Please avoid that. Be very clear from the very start about what your methodology will be. Then coming later. And then there are other things, the statistical analysis. Will you use specific theoretical perspective to help you analyze a text or explain observed behaviors? Again, these are things that a researcher has to be very clear when mentioning in the research. And how you plan to obtain an accurate assessment of relationships, how you have established the causal relationships, and how you will assess those and the possible contradictions. Data is a different world, and the possible contradictions in the data is also something that one has to address. And then for suppose the selection, sampling procedures, and very often in the social sciences, research problems and the methods for investigating them, they require more explanation, more rationale than widely accepted rules which govern the natural and physical sciences. Here is that differentiation. And be clear and concise. If you are analyzing text, which text have you chosen and why? This is the entire problem that people who are resorting to textual analysis, whether it is discourse analysis, whether it is content analysis, they find this problem. Then if statistics is being used, why is this statistic being used? And if other data sources explain why the data chosen is most appropriate to in addressing this research problem. And then of course you have to describe the potential limitations, then the practical problems that you might encounter, and how will the researcher attempt to control the confounding variables of your study. So these are some things, if you are able to clarify at the research design state, it will be very easy to defend your research proposal and pave the path for your road to writing your conducting your research. If the methodology may lead to problems that can be anticipated, state this openly and show why pursuing this methodology will address that particular problem. That means that you have to be very thorough. You have to, beside your own field, you have to have a reading of all these possibilities, the basics of qualitative research, the basics of quantitative research, and the complex complexities of mixed method research. And there are books to it. There is a lot of literature which is very, which might be useful to you, which I will share with, I think I will share it with Sheetal and Mansi. Then once, sorry, I'm recovering from a second bout of COVID. So you have to give me that. So this is about the research design. Once you have conceptualized your research, broad research design, once you know that whether you are going in for qualitative and quantitative research, what sort of qualitative data you will need to link to the quantitative data, or if you are doing your textual analysis, if you're doing your discourse analysis or your content analysis, how will you go about clearly collecting data? It is all about collecting data, and then you set yourself on the path of dividing your research broadly into chapters. Somewhere dividing, people are fond of calling it chapterization. Even we get into it, but I was given a nice dressing down that it is nothing called chapterization. It is tentative chapters. So and by the time you are very clear on in your own field and in the methodology that you will apply, you will be clear in the tentative chapters that you are going to divide your research work into. Normally the pattern is that the first chapter and the last first chapter is the introduction, the last is the conclusion, and the main body of your work is found in the 3 chapters that are there to you. Now, the most important part of writing your research book, one of the most important part is the references and the bibliography. All sources should be included. All sources. It is very important to maintain the uniformity of style. List all the references alphabetically. Okay, and there is this the reference and bibliography debate. Most of the research methodology is pitted against each other, whether it is objectivity, subjectivity, whether it is the debate between references and bibliography, and what have you. It is always the qualitative versus the quantitative, a huge, centurion fight, debate has been going on. So the citations are very important. How you cite in your research proposal, how you cite in the work that will continue in your thesis or in your research paper or in your research proposal also. It is very, very important. What are citations? The purpose of the citation is to indicate clearly the sources on which the researcher depends on information or data. And then, or sometimes you need verbatim quotes for it. For example, let me give you an example that poverty is the greatest polluter. This was something in 1972, and this has been an anthem for us working on environment and environmental governance and tracing the history of environmental degradation and environmental governance. Now, this was this very famous quote in the 1972 Stockholm conference, none other than Mrs. Gandhi. And this phrase had a huge impact, and it carried such a lot of meaning, just as the definition of sustainable development carries. So if you are quoting verbatim, you cannot attribute this to yourself. You have to cite it. And the researcher, how she uses ideas, interpretation, analyses, or conclusions, even if it is summarized or paraphrased in her own words, it is always better to cite, to give a reference to it. The researcher categorizes, even if the researcher categorizes her argument using somebody else's his distinctive structure, approach, or method, yes, you can very well quote it and use it, that yes, I'm using that method to further, it will strengthen the study, or it might, provide a counter argument, but it is always better to quote. Please remember, this is that citations must be done with utmost honesty, and over citation is much better than under citation. Let me tell you, I always have this very interesting thing. My student will come with some with a write-up and with few references. Now in all this, we know where it is all coming from. So I said, why didn't you quote? So she said that, no, it was a he said. He said, mere seniors ne kaha tha. My seniors said that if you quote so much, what is yours there? Now this is a very flawed argument. On the contrary, the more you quote, the more it shows that you have read thoroughly, and it will save you. I think there is a session on plagiarism, Mansi.
Yes, we'll do
Yes.
it in the end of the session.
Yes, so plagiarism is such a huge issue that if there is a certain degree of plagiarism, a career is finished before it has even begun. Okay, so citation is all about saving yourself also. And all right, and I have tried to give some examples how to cite, how to write. These are age-old things, where and it is called that in-text reference. Naturally, when you're doing your review of literature, when you are building up an argument, you have to have people's accounts. You have to cite from the literature, how to go about it, how to write it in the text, and how to write it at the end of your research proposal. So the in-text referencing, where the name of the author and the year of publishing is mentioned in the text itself. There are two styles for it. Some I have tried to give these styles. I have to of books, how you cite. If you have from books, how to cite from articles in a journal. Then there are ways of how to cite multiple authors or two authors to place it. And even these very small little nitty-gritty things, what happens is that if you have not done your citation properly, normally after a time, because your thesis, especially I'm addressing the students of PhD, and I'm also addressing my own colleagues who send papers for journals, research papers for journals, where the way you write those citations is very important. If they are not structured properly, if they don't follow a format, and if they are not written in the norm, in the style that is stated, the referee or the examiner, they get very irritated, and it creates a very negative impact. And suppose in a sequence, if 6, 7, 8 of your citations do not adhere to it, it definitely rings a bell here. Your paper or your especially in research papers, they might get rejected also. Or if you are submitting a research proposal for funding, it might get rejected, because there everyone is taking, just as in the first picture with the golden person with the lens, is looking out for faults, and please don't give them faults to catch you on. So, and it is very easy once you know how to do it, once you have given it a careful read, and you have done it once or twice, it will come very automatically to you. So how to cite in your text, and ultimately how to write it in your list of references, is something I have tried to give you some examples, but there are many more. And how to cite from newspaper articles, then how to cite from unpublished work, from others' thesis. My advice would be that at the research proposal state, please don't use unpublished work, or work that is a work in progress. So it is better not to do it at the research proposal state. I have tried to, just highlight how to write, especially articles and or chapters in an edited volume. The citing of this becomes a little problematic, but it is that those little minute little details which also make us for a successful research proposal. The language, the grammatical, the syntax, these are things that a researcher has to keep in mind while drafting and crafting a research proposal. You bring your knowledge from your field, from your subject, and put it into a methodological formula, into these logical 6, 7, 8 steps. And I certainly, I know for certain that you will never fail to come up with a good research proposal. In any research proposal, thinking over the hypothesis and linking the theory to the practical is also very important. I think that is also something that a researcher has to be very, very careful of. And here I stop. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The session was really very knowledgeable and objective oriented. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the wealth of knowledge and insight which you have shared with us today. Now, I would like to entertain few questions shared in the chat box.
Please do.
Can I ask?
May I move forward with the questions?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. Ma'am, the first question is how to effectively research in international relations. Sorry, how to effectively research in international relations area of studies and how to have hypothesis for these clarification.
See, in international studies or in international relations, I am speaking from the vantage point of environment and international relations, because that has been my subject of study. So, here it is a very exploratory research design. The more it is, gathering all that data from which is there out in the universe and fitting it into a theoretical framework. We in the environmental studies, we are knocking at the doors of the the international relations theorists to please let us in. Okay, because environment is, one of those burning subjects which requires a coordinated effort from the international relations theorists. And though, they were from the hard realism and what have you, to come down and frame environment into the concept of international relations is a big job. So I think the question was, how do we fix our research on international and area studies?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This I can explain if I have an example. Suppose I am studying, what do you say? The United Nations and the success and failure of its programs in Central Asia. This is it. So I have here the some Republic of Central Asia and the functioning of the United Nations. I will find my research variables. First, I will go and study all that literature that is available there. And then I have to decide that whether I want to, strengthen the framework, the liberal institutional framework that is there, on which we explain a lot of our environmental problems. Does it fit into, does my problem that I am studying fit into it, or do I have to go beyond and explain it? And it will need further what do you say, relations, further studies. So the hypothesis and the broad assumptions, they come as you study the literature in the field. It is not something which can be prescribed and which can be explained without a context. Okay, so if you have a certain problem in your mind, yes, it can be. And all the hypotheses, the research, especially the hypotheses that you want to derive, they come from the existing literature in your field.
Can I ask, madam?
Sure.
Yeah.
That is.
Can you please put the question in the chat box? It would be easier for us to identify yourself, sir.
Okay.
It will be better if it is there.
If you can just write down your question, it would be better. Meanwhile, I have a query for you, ma'am, if you allow
Yes,
me.
please, please,
Okay.
please go ahead.
So, this lecture is on general research proposal that anybody or like including researcher or faculty can basically follow in terms of
Exactly.
designing their
Yes.
proposal.
You know that.
Now, okay. So now the question is, when somebody wants to apply for a postdoc or maybe for a position for visiting faculty for any university, there is a limitation of words, so in which you have to put all your ideas and you have to design the entire proposal. So
Yes.
in that framework, how do you basically incorporate all the ideas? Do we have to again go for the entire framework of literature, or the way you have just mentioned all the points to mention, or we have to specifically focus on certain aspects? Could you please
Wait.
put on that?
It is a very interesting thing. Can I answer that? An
Yeah,
interesting
please,
question.
please.
See, if you are applying for a funding, or you are submitting a research proposal for a research grant or a postdoc research proposal, then you have that word limit. You don't have the luxury of 15 to 17 pages as we have while writing for our writing a research proposal or crafting a research proposal for our PhD thesis. We don't have that. So there you have to club your introduction and your first you have to select the most relevant literature, supporting literature for your proposal. So that you will have to just sieve out that which is of secondary importance. Then you have to incorporate the available literature in the introduction and the scope of study itself. Okay. So and then and divide it. You won't have the luxury of having a huge literature review. So there you have to be very discerning in the most relevant literature that you have. Then you have to be very, very clear on the research design. There you don't have that. No, you have to be very focused. What sort of study will it be and how will you get those results? For that you have to be clear in the objectives. Those objectives come from not from your wide literature that you have to that is there. They have already given you those objectives. The research proposal is invited on this and this topic. So half of your job is done. So you have to go in for literature on that particular topic and derive your objectives from there. Okay, so that will again compress the research proposal. But there every method and every objective and the methodology that the methodology technique that you will use will have to be elaborate. Okay, so it will compress your research proposal, but it will give you so that luxury of having broad hypothesis, then going broad question, then coming to a hypothesis, and then coming to those objectives. It will be clubbed into one. It will be into that scope of the study and the statement of the problem. That is why somewhere it is scope of the study and somewhere it is the statement of the problem. Normally in research proposals which have to be submitted for funding, it is that statement of the problem, which is where you have your objectives and your hypothesis all clubbed into one, into a particular focus. Okay, so that is a little differentiation. That is the little difference that your again research thesis is an exploratory work. There it is not. It is not an exploratory, it is more explanatory and predictive, because all these research proposals that are invited, they go into policy planning, and somewhere, you know, it has to have that predictive sort of you know, research question to answer. Okay, so you have to choose the methodology. The half of your literature review is already done. No, it will be quite a lot of inductive research that you will be doing, and your focus will be defined for you. You don't have to swim and find the focus. So that is the little difference, that the introduction and the scope of the study, within these two headings, you have to fit in all your hypotheses, your research questions, and your research design. The research design will come later. And you then writing of the report, you don't have to have those tentative chapters and all that. But and here, of course, I also failed to mention that you have to have a little distinction between writing references and bibliography. Don't include in the final list of references that which you have not included in the text. If you have to, make a separate section of a bibliography, okay, for the general reading that you have done on a topic.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're running short of time. Apeksha ma'am, just pick up one more. Here is, I see, just 1 minute. I see one question coming for international relations, research methodology in international relations. Kindly wait for our next session. We have a particular session dedicated to international relations and research methodology. So please save your question for that session. We'll definitely pick up that question. Thank you. Apeksha ma'am, over to you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, though there is a lot of plethora of questions, but as we are running shortage of time, I'm putting just one more. Ma'am, what's the difference between synopsis and research proposal?
Yes, again, you know, the synopsis and the research proposal are also pitted against each other. Actually, if you go to the very dictionary and the logistic meaning, a synopsis is a brief summary, but a research proposal goes beyond that. But it happens in certain universities, a research proposal is called a synopsis. And somewhere it is a research proposal. There are those fine differences, you know. Let me think about it. You know, I also have this question in mind, that synopsis is, I think, the sum total and a brief summary, but a research proposal goes much beyond that. And one more thing that I want to tell you, that there is no conclusion in a research proposal. Please don't include a subheading of a conclusion, especially if you are writing for your PhD, a PhD research proposal. For research proposals submitted for funding, you can have the expected outcome. There is this there is a subheading where you can discuss the expected outcome, but a research proposal for academic means does not have conclusions. You will draw your conclusions when you have gone on that, pursuing the path of your research proposal and written your thesis. Okay, so, and this is it. The synopsis is thoda sa wo dictionary meaning ka fark hai ke a synopsis is the sum total of the extract of your entire research. That is what, and a research proposal goes much beyond that. But a synopsis and research proposal is used interchangeably in most places.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I think
Sabia ma'am, I would like to
just
Sabia ma'am, Mansi, this is Dr. Sheetal here.
Oh, yes, Sheetal here. Oh, again, I just want to see you, but you know, I'm blocked out.
Ma'am, I'm visible now, I hope, because I'm driving. I can't take much liberty of playing with the camera right now.
No. I will have that conversation later.
Yes. But by switching off my camera, I just want to mention one thing, that it was an amazing session by you, and good questions which have come up. A number of questions will be answered in the sessions in the coming days. However, I want to thank you, ma'am, personally for obliging us by taking time out of your busy schedule, and amazing deliberations in terms of research methodology, research designs and everything that you have touched upon, ma'am. Thank you so much once again from
Absolutely.
bottom of my heart.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, Sheetal.
People are loaded. We are loaded with your appreciation, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for putting up very patiently with me. Actually, this pandemic has taught us to race through our courses, race through what we have to say, and that is what I have done. I hope I was legible, but if there are any questions or difficulties, because the research, all those little points that I have summed up in these 20 slides, research proposal goes beyond that. It will be a little sort of guide to everyone when they start writing their research proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, we can also say that, a synopsis is a summary of an end product.
I know,
Whereas
yes,
a research
exactly.
proposal is a recipe of a dish, which
Yes,
yet
I
to have
know.
to-
The synopsis is the extract,
Yes.
of everything.
One little query has come. I just like to take the liberty of asking that question. Maybe we'll then able to comprehensively finish it. I think there is a question on what is the difference between national, what is that, and international review. Just maybe for 1 minute, if you just.
What sort of review? I want to be clear.
The question is, what is the meaningful approach difference between national review and international review?
Review of the research proposal,
No, ma'am,
international.
it seems
No.
like the participant is asking about the literature review, how to
Maybe.
create a balance
National,
between
yes, maybe
Oh,
balance.
and the
I
international.
know. See, the review of literature and survey of literature. Is that it that you are asking?
No.
No.
I think they are trying to capture, trying to ask, how do you capture review from kind of within people who are like, the national, importance of a national importance and literature review that you do from international base. I think something of that sort. It's not clear much. What
Yes,
is
I
the
know.
meaning?
But, in a literature review, you transgress, the boundaries of the national and international.
Yes.
Okay. From the international, you have to be very, very clear on the perspective that you want to incorporate and somewhere develop your own perspective. I come from an institution, I have spent the last 32 years, from in researching the international and the national and the perspective that you bring. Please don't borrow it lock, stock and barrel. And there is no national and international. See, suppose you are citing an article from the Journal of International Studies of JNU. So it is a very international document. But if you say that even the National Archives, is an international platform. So I don't get it, the national and international. The review of literature should consist of everything, the most relevant to your research problem, whether it is the national or the international.
Apeksha ma'am, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, continue.
Thank you, ma'am, for all your interactive session. So, ma'am, we are going to end this session then. So,
Please.
so,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
ma'am,
patience.
there are many more questions which we'll share with you later on.
Please share it and I will answer them and send them over.
Yes,
I think
yes,
I can
ma'am,
do
sure.
that. I'll
Thank
do
you
that.
so
ma'am,
much
sure.
for your wonderful session today, ma'am.
I was a little, from the high table of theory and theoretical frameworks to that कि कैसे आप comma लगाएं, कैसे colon. This is something.
You were great. You were great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mansi. And
Thank you,
I think
ma'am.
Apeksha.
Team also, ma'am. Apeksha ma'am is moderating the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Manasi ma'am?
Yes, Apeksha ma'am. Now we can move to our next session. You
Yes, we
please
can move
introduce
to
the
our
next session and then you can.
Manasi ma'am, I'm here.
Okay.
So my voice is clear, ma'am?
Yes, your
Yes,
voice is
ma'am,
clear.
it's
So,
clear.
Vishal, are you here?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Yes,
Okay,
he has
thank you.
joined.
So, over to you,
Okay, ma'am.
Shrat ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Thank you for joining us in the fourth session of Day-1 on this FDP. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Ishrat, Assistant Professor of the Department of Economics, Galgotias University. Today, we are delighted to have Mr. Vishal Gupta with us. He is the Senior Consultant of South Asia elsewhere. Mr. Gupta has 14 years of work experience in the domains of biotechnology, publishing, and data analytics. Currently, he is working with elsewhere as a senior consultant, where he has the responsibility of supporting Scopus Science Direct Mendeley users in various countries like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. Mr. Vishal is a certified presenter for the author workshop and a certified Mendeley trainer also. He is going to speak on the topic entitled Managing Mendeley Software for Research. This session will focus on how Mendeley software is helping in research writing. It's our pleasure to have Mr. Vishal Gupta with us on this FTP. After completing this session, we will be having around 10 to 15 minutes for question and answer. For any query related to this lecture, participants are welcome to put their questions in the chat box. Before handing it over to Mr. Vishal Gupta, participants are requested to kindly fill the feedback form, which will be shared soon in the Zoom meeting. Now I am requesting to Mr. Vishal Gupta to take over. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I am just sharing my screen. Please let me know if you can see my screen
Yes,
clearly.
sir. It is
Okay.
visible.
Thank you. Uh, Firstly, I'm really thankful to the organizers at Galgotia University and for organizing this session. My voice feels a little heavy because I'm on the 6th day of my COVID infection today. So I'm a little better, recovering fast. But, I honestly request everyone to follow precautions because I don't think anybody else has taken that many precautions as me, and I still was able to contract COVID. So it is really infectious, and it's not good.
I know.
Most of
So
us are falling sick. Yes, even I am recovering.
yeah, I know.
We
I
all are in the same boat.
everyone I hear, everyone I talk
Yeah.
to is either recovering or suffering, and uh, I
I'm
wish
recovering
everyone
from
good.
the second bout.
Oh my
Oh, okay,
God.
ma'am.
Ma'am, take care.
Okay. So yeah, I was listening to Sabia ma'am, and there were so many things that were of learning. I also learned a lot. I do a lot of author workshops, and there are questions that come up around this topic, and it's really interesting to know this her perspective as well. And some of the things got really clear. But I think she's definitely laid the foundation stone for my presentation. There were a lot of things that she covered around how to write a research proposal, and explaining the difference between synopsis and a research proposal, and a lot of things have come up. But I think she also mentioned in her one of the slides that referencing and in text citations is something which is extremely critical, and that is what I'll be covering in this today's topic, which I have titled managing references made easy using Mendeley. So be it a research proposal or a research article, you need to write a bibliography, you need to have in-text citations, and they are extremely critical because they involve a lot of technicality. Like there are different citation formats, and if you know, very popularly, you will find only 2 or 3 citation formats which are very common, like APA or Vancouver, Harvard, uh, IEEE, and Nature. So these are the ones that are very common, and I'm sure throughout your career, even Sabia ma'am, if she can let us know how many citation styles has she come across in a career. Very few, right?
Very
But
few.
yeah, maximum people have come across only 2 to 5 styles, right? But in reality, there are more than 7,500 citation styles. There are styles specific to journals, there are styles specific to universities, when people need to write their thesis. So there are different formats, and it gets really difficult because there are minor differences, and then you need to know everything, where the comma needs to be put, which letter should be in bold, which should be in italics, and how this entire thing is to be framed. So there is a lot of technicality, and I think if you need to write 100 references, let's say for example, it takes around a week. For experienced people, and for people who have lesser experience, it takes more time. And uh, even one comma can make your entire format incorrect. So you need to be very thorough with this particular part of the research writing, which is maintaining references. So let me start with a quick introduction about Elsevier. I hope all of you recognize Elsevier as a publisher. We are more of an information analytics company now, with a lot of products like Scopus, Science Direct, Mendeley. And Mendeley is something which I think most of you have known. Some of you are still using Mendeley. And some of you probably don't use Mendeley because you're not comfortable with how it works. So today, I think it'll be more easier. After this session, I'll try to make sure everyone knows how to go about using Mendeley. I would also like to introduce all of you to this free online platform developed by Elsevier, which is called the Elsevier Researcher Academy. On this platform, you can come across free online courses developed for the entire research workflow, starting from how to write a research proposal, how to apply for a grant, how to be technical in your research writing, how to manage references, how to find journals, what are research ethics, and many more topics that you can come across. Once you complete a course on this platform, you can also self-generate a certificate for yourself. So to access this, just type Elsevier Researcher Academy on Google, or use the link at the top of the screen, and you can easily go onto the platform. There are courses like how to write a book, how to find a journal, such interactive courses, and you can take any of these courses completely free of cost. So let me start from where, actually, let me summarize. A lot of things have been already explained by Sabia ma'am, but I would just like to pick a few and help you understand what happens when an article finally is submitted. If it is submitted to an editor, what happens to that paper, right? Which workflow does it follow? So this on your screen is a simple editorial workflow. The article that you submit straight away goes to the editor's desk. At the editor's desk, the editor has fixed some benchmarks. Based on those benchmarks, the editor takes a decision whether to forward it to the reviewers or send it back to the author, which means desk rejection. You'll be surprised to know that 85 to 90% of the papers are rejected at this stage with the editor. So only 10% of the papers actually go through. And this is an average. Some journals may have a higher rejection rate. Some journals may have a lower rejection rate, right? Now, you might be thinking that a paper, an article that you took months to write, an editor only has 10 to 15 minutes per paper because of the number of papers or submissions that happen. So what does the editor look at in those 10-15 minutes? Of course, he or she does not go through the entire paper in detail. That's the job of the reviewers first. So what does the editor look at in 10-15 minutes? And I think these points will help you understand what to prioritize, right? So what does the editor actually want? So the first thing that the editor wants is that the article should be scientifically correct, which means that it should have a connection to the past. It should not be an isolated piece of research. Whatever you are writing is justified by something that has happened in the past. Next, it should not be something that has been done in the past, similar to something that has been done in the past. So it should report something new. There has to be an element of novelty in your paper. Now, that novelty should also be significant, which means that it should not be something that is that you have discovered or that you are putting in as a concept, but it is of no application. It is of no use to anyone in the society, right? So that means that it should have an impact. The impact could be political, social, economical, financial, any kind of impact. And impact can also be measured at your research inspires more research. So that is also an impact, right? And lastly, the article must be of interest to the readers. So the editor's job is to make sure that the audience is engaged. So they want to make sure that the audience is in finding the article interesting, they are reading that article, because it's the audience, it's the readers that are going to certify, that are going to say whether the article is good enough or not. And how can they do that? By giving citations. So that is something which the editor pays special focus on. Now, definitely, there are things that editors like, and there are things that editors do not like. So as important it is to know what they like, it is also important to know what they don't like, right? So some of the reasons of rejections that has been conveyed to us by some of our editors are: number one, topic of research not trending, not impactful, which means that, the topic must be of some impact. It must be trending with the audience, the readers of this particular journal, right? So that will attract more viewership, more readership. Then poorly written abstracts or language errors. So if there are too many language errors, if the English is not readable, not understandable by the editor, then they do not have the time to spend a lot of time on your paper to understand what you're trying to say. So editors do understand that English is not the first language of everyone, but they do expect that if you are publishing in an English journal, the English must at least be simple, logical, and easy to read. So it should not be complex. It should be easy, simple, logical, easy to read, right? Then comes too many or irrelevant self-citations. So what are self-citations? Citing your own paper. Can you cite your own paper? Yes, you can. But if you irrelevantly cite your previous paper just to get a citation, the editor is smart enough to, point that out. And irrelevant self-citations are categorized under unethical publishing practices. If there is anything unethical in a paper, the editor will definitely not want to go ahead with that paper. So be very careful when you are citing your own papers. It should be very relevant to the current article. Then poor geographical distribution of citations. So again, there are some things that you need to convey to the editor. As Sabia ma'am was saying, that the editor wants to see how well read you are. What are the articles that you are reading? Are you reading the correct articles? Are you reading articles from across the globe? How will you tell that to the editor? Through your references, through the bibliography. So your articles, your references should come from different parts of the globe. It should not be localized to one city, one country. It should be well geographically distributed. That tells the editor that you have done a good literature review. Then recent or older articles not cited. So your bibliography should be a good mix of the latest articles as well as the articles from the past. So it should be a good mixture. There has to be a width in your references as well. As important it is to cite the latest article, it is equally important to cite the older articles as well to give reference to context. That's what you do in a literature review, right? You tell a story, how it started, what happened, and then why you are doing this research. And for that, you need to have a good spread of references across time periods. Then leading scientists and top journal articles not cited. Again, the editor is the subject matter expert. They know who are the top scientists, which are the top journal articles, which are the top authors. So, you need to make sure that you cite these, leading scientists, leading journals, leading articles. This again gives a good impression to the editor and tells them that you are doing a good literature review. Now, you might be thinking that, why am I discussing this editorial workflow? Because, 4 of these 6 points directly relate to citations or the references that you make. And this is why it is highly critical that you manage your references effectively. So today's session is going to focus on this particular part about Mendeley. So, we all know that researchers go through different stages, and it's not easy to be a researcher. It's not just the technical research that you do. There is a lot of admin work that you need to follow. And once you start writing your paper, there are specific issues that come up, like which citation style should I use? How do I write my bibliography? Should I write it manually, or make some changes or change the format? Do I need to write my bibliography again? Now, these questions I know are really stressful. And a simple solution to all these questions is Mendeley. So what is Mendeley? Mendeley is basically a reference manager. So it basically helps you in three things. It helps you building your knowledge. So you can organize your references, find relevant articles on Mendeley as well. Mendeley is also an open repository of articles and research data. You can stay up to date with the kind of content that is available, the kind of updates that are happening, where you can sync it to your library, and you can also manage your research. So you can categorize your articles into different folders, search within Mendeley data, find relevant articles and save them to your library. How to use Mendeley? So today I'm going to tell you two ways of using Mendeley. So one of the ways is through the traditional, the common way of using Mendeley, which has been existing for a long time, using the Word plugin and the web importer. So that is one way, and there is a beta version of using another way of using Mendeley, which is Mendeley site. So today I'm going to demonstrate both to you, right? So people who are already using Mendeley will know about a new way of using Mendeley as well, right? So how to use Mendeley? So the simple steps that are mentioned is log on to mendeley.com, create a free account, right? If you already have a Scopus or a Science Direct account, user ID, password, you can use the same because all of these three are connected to each other. You can download and install the Mendeley desktop software and then install the MS Word plugin and web importer. Now I have captured a few screenshots for all of you to make it easy for you to understand where to do it from where. So this is the Mendeley webpage where you need to enter Mendeley, www.mendeley.com. Once you enter into the page, you will see an icon here which asks you to sign in or create a free account. So you can click there, you can enter your email ID. It's just used as a username. It'll ask for some other details. So just like you sign on to a new platform, you need to sign on using your basic details. So there are two versions of Mendeley now. One is the web version, which is the online version. And then there is a software, which can be used offline as well and can be downloaded from the website. So where can you download the Mendeley software? So you see this icon here, which says download. So you click on this download icon and you will be able to see a shortcut. Once it gets installed, a shortcut will appear on your desktop, which looks like this, which is called the Mendeley desktop software. When you open this, it opens the software and you see something like this. Now, when you open this for the first time, you will not see so many articles. It will be blank, basically, right? Because you have not added anything to the platform. So this is just an illustration of how it will look once you have populated the library. Now, how to use the app, adding files on the system. So it's quite simple. If you open the software, you will see this icons here on top, which says add. You can use this add files, add folder, or you can simply drag and drop anything on the Mendeley software. So if there is a Word file on your, there is a PDF file on your desktop, you can just drag and drop it on Mendeley software and it will immediately add it to the library. Or you can also use this add files and add folders and add directly to Mendeley. I'll demonstrate everything. So I'll show you the software as well. Then under tools, you need to click on install web importer and install MS Word plugin. So this is one way of using Mendeley, and you can simply do this when you are on the software. I'll show you again a demo of how to do it. So I think it will be better if I just go directly to the live platform. So give me a minute while I move from the PPT slides to the live platform. So, ma'am, can you just confirm me if you can see my desktop now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So this is the Mendeley homepage. So once you sign in and you enter your credentials, you will enter this page. And this is how it looks nowadays, right? First thing that you notice here is there are two options here. One is search and one is library. So when you click on search, you are able to search open text articles, open access articles, as well as research data. using the Mendeley platform. Mendeley outsources its content from various open platforms, and you can make use of it. So let's say I type any keyword here, let's say artificial intelligence, okay, and I just do a search, and the system will immediately search from within its entire database. There are filters on the left hand side. You can use these filters to further filter out your articles, and then you can see the number of citations and readers, Mendeley readers as well. Who are Mendeley readers? Mendeley readers are people who have saved this to their library, to the Mendeley library. Now you can see an icon here which says add to library. So if you want to add this article directly to your library, you can do that by just clicking here. And you see there is a PDF icon which is mentioned here, which means the full text PDF is accessible. If you don't see a PDF article, it means that only the content is available. There is no PDF for this particular article. But despite that fact, you can still save the reference. If you don't have the complete PDF, you can still save the reference, the citation information, and you can make the bibliography later on, right? So this is one way of adding articles to your Mendeley library. Where can you see these articles? You can see these articles here under library. So when you go there, this is your personal library, which you will create, which you will manage. And this is like your virtual library. It's like Google Docs, you can actually carry them anywhere. Even if you are not on your system, you can log into your system, your Mendeley profile from anywhere in the world, and just access all the articles that you have saved. So now you see on top, you could see that it was syncing, and it says synced. So where did it sync? So everything on Mendeley is saved on a cloud. Each one of you personally, when you create an account on Mendeley, have a personal space of 2 GB within which you can actually save as many PDFs as you want, that accommodates within 2 GB. So that is the free space that all of you have. And once you sync it, it basically syncs from the cloud and brings everything here on the library, right? Now you can see that the articles are then divided into folders and groups. Now, how to actually view this kind of a view and all these articles, how did I add? So for that, you need to download the Mendeley software, right? So as I said, the Mendeley software can be downloaded right from the homepage, right? So you can also click on your name here on the right hand side, and you see that there is there is an option to download the Mendeley software from the homepage. So when you go to mendeley.com, just give me a minute. Right. So if I sign out from my profile, see here it says download Mendeley, right? So once you click on your name, once you have signed it, you will see download Mendeley. And this will help you to reach a page where you can download the Mendeley software from. Once you download the Mendeley software, you open it, it looks something like this. Now, when you open it for the first time, I told you earlier, everything will be blank here. So how can you add articles to Mendeley? Again, as I said, you can drag and drop articles on this software, or you can use these buttons here on top, add files, add folder, right? So this is again how I've made these categorizations. On the left hand side, there is an option to create folders as well. So I can create a folder and then save those articles in that particular folder. So once I go to that folder, I will only see articles that are there in that particular folder. And if I click on all documents, it will show me all the documents irrespective of the folder that it is in, right? So this is a good way of managing your references as well, right? So this is how you create your references. And again, on top, you see there is a section called tools. So if you click on tools, you see install web importer and install MS Word plugin. So I've already installed both these things. And now let me show you how this will actually help you in creating the references, right? So let me open a Word file for you. And now on this Word file, please watch very carefully. I'll be showing two ways of using Mendeley. One, through this under references, you see this tab called Mendeley Cytomatic. So where did this come from? So within the software, when I clicked on tools and install MS Word plugin, this is the MS Word plugin. that will get installed with your MS Word. Mendeley Cytomatic. You will see a similar one which is provided by the Word file, which is citations and bibliography. Don't get confused with this. You need to install Mendeley Cytomatic. Now, first, let me show you using Mendeley Cytomatic, and then I will show you using Mendeley Cite that you see here on the extreme right hand side. So first, let me use Mendeley Cytomatic and show you how to create these references. So let me say that I am writing something, artificial dot something, I'm just writing something. And now I need to insert my in-text citation here where my cursor is, right? So all I need to do is go to Mendeley Cytomatic under references, click on it, just follow the instructions here. Click on insert citation. Now, when I click on insert citation, I will see this small window that opens up, right? If I know the citation name, the author name, I just need to put it here and it will show me in the drop down all the things. If I am not very sure, I will click on go to Mendeley. See here, I'll just go directly to Mendeley. It opens the software for me. Now on the software, I know where my article is because I have organized them into folders. I know where my article is. So I straight away go to that folder. I click on this article that I want to cite, and then I will click on cite on top. Now you might be noticing that there are few icons here. What do these icons mean? So if you see this kind of an icon, the red one, this is a full text PDF, which means this article has the full text already downloaded in the system. If you see nothing here, completely blank, it means that this is just a reference that has been copied from the internet. There is no full text available on Mendeley for this article. And if you see this kind of a download sign, it means that right now there is just the reference, but the original PDF is attached. If you wish to download it to your platform, you can download it, right? So these are the three different icons that you will see here. And so don't confuse with that. Irrespective of this, it will be able to cite if the citation information is there. So now let me click on this article and use this button on top which says cite. So as soon as I click here, it will create an in-text citation for me. Now, which format is this? You see from this drop down here, there is a tab called style. So if I click here, you see these are the various styles that are mentioned here. These are the top 10 styles that I have been using during demos. So it is showing me these top 10 styles, right? So right now I can change it to any style. If I want to change it to IEEE, I can do that by one button, one click. If I want to get more styles, I need to click here under more styles. First, check under installed list, right? So check whether that particular citation style is already there or not, right? Let's say you are interested in Vancouver. So click here and click on use this style. So it will start using Vancouver. Let's say you are not able to find your style in the installed list also. Then what do? You go to get more styles. Under get more styles, you need to keep, typing, right now this is disabled. I don't know why, but as soon as you type the name of the journal, at least for Elsevier journals, you will see all the journals name appearing. So you don't even need to know the citation style name. Just put in the name of the journal and that journal will come up and you can click on that and say use this style, right? If you don't know the journal and you can't see the journal name here, you need to write to the editor or first check the journal's website. Under abstract and indexing, you will be able to see the citation style name. If you don't find it, write to the editor, tell him or her that you are using Mendeley and you need to know the citation style name and they can give you that, right? So this is how you can actually find different styles. Okay, so let me go back now and let me change it to APA for easy understanding. Now let me continue writing, and now I need to enter two citations together. What happens when you enter two citations together? So you need to merge these citations. Again, merging is different with different formats. So let me first show you how to insert two citations together. So I click on insert citation. I again go to Mendeley. And now I know which two articles I want to cite. So I click both the articles using control. I have selected both the articles. And now I say cite on top. And see, it will be merged and cited in the format of the citation style. Right now, this is APA. If I again want to change this citation style to IEEE, it will change to this particular format, right? So every format has a different way of merging and you don't need to know that. The system will automatically arrange it for you. Then let's say, I have made 3 citations now. You can make 50, 100, as many citations as you want. And this particular technology, this method is called cite while you write. So while you are writing, you can, keep making this citation so that you don't forget later on, right? So the only prerequisite is you should have collected all your references in the Mendeley software, right? So that will make it easy for you. Once you have done this, you just need to put your cursor. Let's say I want to enter my bibliography now. So this is where I want to enter my bibliography, and my cursor is here. All I need to do is click on insert bibliography in this box. So as soon as I click on insert bibliography, you see my entire bibliography is created in the format of the particular citation style. So right now, APA uses alphabetical order, so it is organizing it in alphabetical order. If I change it to IEEE, it will probably use the 1, 2, 3 method. So it is now changed to 1, 2, 3 method. You don't have to do anything. The system will automatically organize this. Now, let's say there is a common issue that comes up. What if, first of all, I need to enter page number. So how do I add page number, right? Or anything else I need to add within a citation. I want to edit a citation. So whichever citation you need to edit, let's say citation number 1. So I click on that citation, and on top, you see this becomes edit citation instead of insert citation now. So I click on edit citation. This is the citation that I want to edit, Lee 2016. So I click here, and now using this drop down, I can add anything. So let's say I want to add page number 2. So I click here, I write page number 2, and the system will automatically update it to page number 2 as well, right? Similarly, this will again, this page number is also written in the format of the citation style. So even if you change the style now back to APA, doesn't matter. It will be formatted in that particular format, right? So now let me go back to this style, because this is easier to understand. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And there is a common issue that comes up. What if I need to delete a citation? What happens then? So if I need to delete citation number 1, what happens? 2 becomes 1, 3 becomes 2. So you need to change in text as well as in bibliography, which again takes, a lot of time, these small things to edit, and it's a big headache. If you're using Mendeley, the process is pretty simple. Just click on backspace and remove this citation and click on refresh. And the system will automatically reorganize your entire bibliography. The way I deleted, similar way, you can add another citation, and the system will automatically again update everything with the numbering. So you don't need to worry about order, format, anything. All you need to worry about is citing the right articles in the right places. So this is one way of using Mendeley, which is via the Mendeley Cytomatic. Now let me show you.
Sir, one question
Yes.
is there.
Yes.
Bibliography, how you got this bibliography?
So I clicked, so let me create it again. So let me delete this.
Thank you.
So how I made this bibliography is pretty simple. I put my cursor where I want to start my bibliography with, and on top, there is a button called Insert Bibliography. So I just click here, and the bibliography is automatically created. Okay, so I think this is pretty clear.
So all article that we cited will be reflected in the bibliography.
Yes,
sir?
yes. So the 1, 2, 3, all the ones. So I have cited 3. You can see 3 here.
According to our format, whether it is American.
Exactly. You need to choose that format here, right? Whichever format you choose, it will change to that. So let's say APA. So now it is changed to APA.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. So this is how you do using Mendeley Cytomatic. Now let me show you how to follow this same process using Mendeley Cite. Can you please mute everyone? There is a lot of disturbance in the background. Thank you. Okay, so now let me delete this entire portion, and let me show you how to use the Mendeley Cite option. So where the Mendeley Cite option will be available, first you need to go to Insert. Under Insert, you need to go to your word add-ins. Like here, Get Add-ins. So you will go here, And under office store, see right now my system is locked, system locked. So I'm not able to see here, but you will be able to see here on your Microsoft Word. I have it under admin managed. So you need to find Mendeley site. So just type Mendeley and this Mendeley site option will come up. All you need to do is click here and add it to your Word. So you will see this type of an icon on the right hand side of your screen top. You will see this side of a Mendeley site icon being created, right? So now what you need to do, let's say now I want to create a citation here, right? How do I do that? So my cursor is here. I click on Mendeley site. So as soon as I click on Mendeley site, on the right hand side, you will be able to see my Mendeley site is already linked to my library. First time when you do this, you need to enter your email ID and password that you have used to sign on to Mendeley. It will immediately link your library to that. Now, whatever is there on my library, I am able to see all the articles here. All the articles, they are listed here. So all I need to do is search for the references, the name of the references. Okay, I just need to type that particular author's name or that particular article title name, and it will all come up. If I want to cite an article here now, I click here and I say insert citation, right? So as soon as I click on insert citation, see this citation has now been inserted. Now I want to continue writing. So I click here and my citation is now created. If I want to change my citation and if I want to write, put in a page number or something, I just need to click on the citation name, add the page number or folio number, whatever I want to add, let's say page number 2, and then I click on save changes. So this is now saved, right? So this is how you are going to use the Mendeley citation style, right? Here, and this will
hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Will you please repeat insert from insert?
Okay. So you click on this first references, all references, or you can go to the folders that you have created on the software. Everything will be reflected here. So once you are there, all you need to do is find your article here. Okay. By writing that particular word here. Let's say I have written the name of the author. So now it comes here and my cursor is where, again, let me delete this so that you are able to understand. Okay, so my cursor is where I want to insert the in-text citation. I click on this citation that I want to insert. If I want to insert 2, I can click on both. Right now I'm doing just 1. So I click on insert citation and you see the citation is now created. Now, if I want to add or edit this particular citation, I will click here on this name and then I can choose anything from here. So let's say page number and I say 2 and I say save. So it adds the page number as well, right? So this is how you are going to add citations here. Okay, now continue writing. Again, I want to insert another citation here. So I click here and I say insert one citation. See, both the citations have now been inserted here. And now all I want to do is I want to create my bibliography. So how do I create my bibliography now? Again, I put my cursor where I want to insert my bibliography. And under this more, you will find insert bibliography. So just click here, continue, and your entire bibliography is now created, right? If you want to change the citation style using Mendeley site, you need to click here. You will see all the mostly used citation styles here. If you wish to choose another style, just click here, search for the citation style name, and then use that style.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Please go ahead.
Sir, actually, while installing this citation style into Mendeley, actually, we use the Blue Book. So how can I install this like Blue Book is edited in this Mendeley, sir?
Blue Book, what do you mean by Blue Book, sir?
The Harvard
Excuse
Blue.
me.
Yes.
Harvard Blue reference.
Who is asking the question? I just wanted to tell you, whatever query you have related to this topic, you can ask after this session.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so Yeah, so this is how you insert the citations and you create the bibliography on Mendeley, right? Now, there is one last question that I would like to address, which is how do you, you have the PDFs which you can directly add to Mendeley and create your library here, right? How do we add references from different websites directly to Mendeley, right? So for that, you need to have the install web importer. You need to install the web importer. This web importer will be reflected on your browser. So on my Mendeley Chrome browser, sorry, Google Chrome browser, you can see this Mendeley icon here. This is the web importer. Now let me go to any website. I can go to Science Direct, IEEE, I can go to Springer, any portal that you want. So let me say I go to PubMed. This is an open repository, right? So I'll go here, and here I type a few words. Let me just type simple word cancer, and see all these articles have come up. Now I want to move some of these articles from here to my Mendeley software. So how can I do this? I can simply click on this icon here. As soon as I click, it will open a side window, and all the articles that are there on this page will automatically be listed on this side window. Whichever article I want to move from here to Mendeley, I just need to click on those articles. So see, it is now checking for PDF also. If the PDF is available, you will see an icon like this. If the PDF is not available, you will see PDF not found, but you can still copy the referencing style. So that is a big plus. Even if you don't have the PDF, you can arrange the PDF from somewhere else, but you still want to have the citation style format, that you can copy the reference directly from here. So let's say I want to copy this reference from here to Mendeley, and I say add. So where did it get added now? It got added to the cloud. And now from my cloud, how can I bring it to Mendeley? I just need to click on sync. So right now it is I don't know, it is showing some disconnection. So as soon as you click on sync, it will come under recently added here. You will be able to see your article here under recently added. And from here, you can just directly drag and drop it to any folder that you want. So let's say you want this article in this folder. So you click and drag and drop it here. Now this article will definitely, you can go to this folder and you will be able to see this article right here, right? So this is how, you can arrange your library, create different kinds of references, and start working with Mendeley. So this actually brings me to the end of my session. If you have any questions, I know there are a lot of issues that researchers face, because small and big issues on how to use Mendeley. But if you do face, there is a proper support center. All the FAQs are mentioned here. Most of your questions can be answered from these FAQs here. So do visit the Mendeley support page from the homepage, and you will be able to find a lot of answers to your questions. There is also a live chat option available. You can raise your questions from here on the Mendeley platform as well directly, and you can get your answers within 24 hours, right? So with this, I would like to stop here and would like to take some questions if there are any.
Thank you so much, Vishal Gupta, sir, for giving us this valuable knowledge for us in research writing. Sir, can I start question?
Please.
Yeah. This question is from Abdul Jabbar, and he is asking, is there any similarity in Mendeley Reference Manager and Mendeley Desktop?
So they both are interconnected. They are part of the same solution. Mendeley Desktop is an online version. So you can actually, if you are not carrying your laptop, for example, right, and you are going to some other place, you can simply log on to your profile, download the Mendeley software on another system, and sync your library with that software. So that can be done immediately. So everything is saved on a cloud, which makes it easier for you to carry your library as you move around. So that is the desktop. While if you talk about the software, there are a lot of times when we are traveling, right? We are traveling in flights, we are traveling on trains, and you don't have internet connectivity. The best part is that the Mendeley software does not need internet to create citations, right? So it can be used offline. Of course, if you want to add anything to the platform, you will need internet to sync it. But if you have your library complete, you can use it offline and anywhere, just without, even without internet connectivity, you will be able to write your paper, create bibliographies, manage, those references within the software. So this is the difference between the both.
Sir, we have one more question, and it is Dr. Janki V, and she is asking, is there any good other source citation management application apart from Mendeley?
Right. So
And
there are
can we
many.
use, sorry, sir, can
No,
we
no
use Mendeley with LaTeX?
Yes. So both the answer to both the questions is yes. So with apart from Mendeley, there are many other softwares also that you will come across. There are Zotero, there is Papers, there is EndNote, right? But again, it all depends on how easy it is for you to use. Before you, I would definitely recommend that you try all the manage referencing softwares and see which one is more useful to you, more easy to use, more flexible to your needs, and definitely use that, because this is something which is really important part of your research writing, and you should be using a software where you are most comfortable with. And related to LaTeX, what I can do is after this session, I can share a Word file, a PDF file, which will have steps on how to use it with LaTeX as well. So there is a simple integration, and we will on that PDF, it will be easy for you to understand how to use it with LaTeX.
Sir, can we continue with the next question if you are comfortable?
Yeah, please go ahead now.
Sir, the next question is, during framing a research, is it necessary to give detailed information about the strategies that will be used for data analysis?
I don't think this question is relevant to Mendeley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. So there is a question related to the safety of data, the security of the data. So the entire Mendeley platform is IP protected. So there is no issues related to security. It is
Sir,
a cloud. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. We have one more question. Divya is asking, how secure is storage services offered by Mendeley? Is there a chance of once initiating becoming public?
Yeah, ma'am, I was answering that question itself. So the question about security is that Mendeley, as I said, everything is saved on a cloud, and all this is IP protected. So there is no chances of these annotations becoming public.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Ma'am, Mansi, ma'am. Yes. Is it it is audible?
Thank you. I think there are a few more questions. One is, okay, I'm taking the liberty of asking the question.
Yeah, please.
So name of the person is not given here, so I'm just reading it out. During framing a research, is it necessary to give detailed information about the strategies that will be used for data analysis?
Sorry, ma'am. This question I have already asked.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Maybe
he's saying it is not related to Mendeley.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So another question, have you covered? Two questions that came.
Yeah, ma'am. I can see another questions in the chat box regarding Harvard Blue Book referencing style.
Yes.
So instead of taking one referencing style at a moment, again I would like to tell you that Mendeley has a repository of more than 7,500 citation styles. It is very simple. Go to Mendeley, click on Get More Styles, type in Harvard Blue Book referencing style, and it will appear there. Just click on Use that style, and you are good to go. So no matter which citation style is there, 99.9% of the times you will be able to find it if you know the name of the citation style, right? So that will be on Mendeley.
Okay, thank you so much, Vishal, for that extensive discussion on Mendeley. I think many people are not even aware of this database manager to make their research so easy and comprehensive. Even I have started using it just a year back, and it has been wonderful. In terms of producing data and research, analysis for my research. Thank you so much. I think we have shared the feedback forms to the participants. Kindly fill that up. Is there any other question, Ishrat ma'am?
Yeah. I just want to ask one question.
Please, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, can you share the emails and the phone numbers of the resource persons so that and sometimes later when we want to invite them for other programs or some gaps that we feel later on we can
We'll share with you in the email or in the Telegram that you're part of. We'll do that.
Yeah, I've not been able to link to the Telegram.
No issue. I will send it to you through email. Please put up an email to us. Hello, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes,
Please put up an email to us. Whoever has any specific query or any specific request, please put up an email to us. We'll definitely respond back, and we'll try to extend our support as much as possible. No issue.
Excuse me, ma'am. One information I want to give, that the mail which we have shared with you for the confirmation of registration, Telegram link, Zoom link, and Facebook link is there. And those participants who want to join, they can join in Telegram. And further information will be given on FDP, Telegram.
Ma'am, one request, ma'am. Is there any opportunity to get this recorded video?
Yes, you will be receiving recorded video as well on the Google Classroom that has been created. So we already have shared all the details through email, that the recorded sessions, additional details of the FDP and speakers information and reference list, everything you will be getting on the Google Classroom that that you all are part of. I would request you, if you have not joined yet, kindly join, because that this is the only way we can reach out to you people for all the recordings and all. So thank you. We'll definitely share.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. So we are almost in the end of our first day sessions, and I think it's been wonderful listening to all these eminent speakers and distinguished guests. What else? We are waiting again for another round of interaction tomorrow, starting tomorrow. Thank you, Vishal, for joining us today. Couldn't be more grateful to you for giving your valuable time to us. Thank you so much for joining us. We would like to hear from you soon again. I'll get back to you on that. Thank you. Thank you. So
what time should we begin tomorrow?
So we are going to meet tomorrow at 10:30. So I would like to request all of you to please log in around 10:15, I would say. So would be available around that time, and we'll try to give you more details about the FDP through Telegram and the Google Classroom that has been created for all of you. So see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Thank you. Hi, I just had a small query. Hi, Sheetal, whoever. Sorry. Okay, this is Divya here. I just wanted to know if one needs to join some other class